What's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer, and welcome to your daily silver stacking video. Thank you for tuning in and supporting the silver stacking community. If you want to help this channel out, help this video, make sure you leave a like and also answer the question I'm about to ask. You definitely want to be subscribed because I'm doing a massive silver giveaway and I'm picking two winners. This giveaway is going to be big. I'm not lying. It's going to be a good one. So you definitely want to click subscribe and click the bell because I do post every single day. You know, you can't be blindly investing anymore. You have to be up to date on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to keep you in the loop every single day. Now, there's so many articles out there talking about triple-digit silver, right? I mean, I could have chose probably 20 plus different articles that make cases for it, but this article in particular talks about $160 silver and actually a time when silver hit that, but something kind of deterred it. So we're going to look into that. But the question I want you to answer down below, and I will be reading all your comments. And by the way, when we're on that topic, there's a lot of silver slayer, I guess, impersonators. So if you see someone try to tell you to comment on the video or on your comment and say to text a WhatsApp number or something, that's not me. My name will always look different than everyone else's in the chat, okay? Make sure you do not fall for that stuff. I will never tell you to text a WhatsApp number or anything along those lines. You'll be able to know when it's me or when it's not. My name will look different. So anyways, the question down below in the comments that I want you to answer is, do you think silver could hit $100+ in the next 5 years? And I really want you to answer why. Why is the most important part. I'm going to be talking about my opinion on this, but your opinion is just as valuable because let's imagine a video that has hundreds of comments, just all people talking about their reasoning. This could be the most educational video and insightful video in the world. I really want you to all engage in this conversation and even reply to each other. Be respectful, of course, but you know, if someone brings up a good point, maybe go off of their point or something. I really want this video to be a conversation. So please like the video and leave a comment. That also helps the video get recommended to other stackers where I'm sure that they could benefit seeing this as well. So let's jump into this article. It's titled Silver Prices to Soar to Triple Digits, okay? So here's the summary. Silver prices have plenty of upside potential in spite of the Fed's decision to reduce quantitative easing buys. Now, if you don't know what quantitative easing is, also QE, it has to do with the government printing off massive amounts of dollars, you know, like just flooding the economy with dollars, and that in return loses its purchasing power, right? When you oversaturate something, it weakens the value. So the gray metal is an excellent hedge against inflation out of control. We can see this now in a situation of stagflation. Now, stagflation is the word of the day in this video. The word stagflation is the main point that we're going to be looking at. So make sure you take note on that. So number 3 is silver is also an essential green energy transition metal. And number 4, although different investment scenarios are possible, I think silver is undervalued right now. And I definitely could agree with that. I mean, I couldn't agree anymore. Silver's undervalued. Gold is overvalued. If you want proof, look at the gold to silver ratio. Silver is 75 times cheaper than gold. That ratio is out of whack, completely out of whack, which means that silver is undervalued or gold is overvalued. And silver is undervalued since the ratio should be around 16 to 1. So the U.S. inflation is hovering near its 30-year high, straight after the recent inflation data publication. Now, the prices of both silver and gold have soared. It is not typical to see these two precious metals to react this way to inflation numbers exceeding analysts' expectations. In my view, this means the market expects inflation in the U.S. to get completely out of control. And this article was written in 2021. And yeah, I mean, spot on. This is highly bullish for both gold and silver since the two metals move in tandem. However, in this article, I would like to focus on the gray metal, which is much more volatile than gold. It's much more volatile. And that's because silver is a much smaller market. That is why it is sometimes referred to as gold on steroids. That is what I've been calling silver for a long time. Now, I don't know if they got that from me. I don't want to sound, I don't want to be like that, but I've been saying that for years. It really is like gold on steroids. If gold's going to rise 10%, silver's rising 15%. But it also could work for the opposite. If gold drops 10%, silver's going to drop 15%. It's a riskier version, but to call a safe haven metal risky is kind of contradicting. So, the Fed and the tightening. We all know the prices of these two metals depend on central banks' monetary policies. The leading central bank everyone monitors is obviously the Federal Reserve. There are a remarkable, there was a remarkable rally in the price of these precious metals back in 2020 when you could see silver going from $11 in March of 2020 nearly up to $30 within a couple of months, deeming silver as the number one performing asset in 2020. But the prices of the two metals peaked in August last year. Right now, and that was August 2020 because this was written in 2021. So from March, silver hit $11 and then it peaked in August, right? March, April, May, June, July. Like 6 months later, silver went from $11 to nearly $30. That's extremely impressive, especially for a precious metal. If that was crypto, then that wouldn't be that crazy. But for a precious metal, which is more slow paced, that's impressive. And by the way, nobody talked about that. If it would have been gold or Tesla stocks or Amazon, there would have been articles everywhere. Tesla was the number one, stock of 2020. But no, since it was silver, it was swept under the rug. Nobody talked. If you don't watch my videos, I bet you would have never known that silver was literally number one. Like there was a chart. Gold was number 5. There was some other things, but silver came out on top. So anyways, right now, which this isn't current, both gold and silver are trading substantially below the peak. So there's a price chart of gold and silver. You can see this is when silver was $11. And then look, went from $11 up to $30 within just a couple of months. I mean, look at that. That is insane. The most obvious reason explaining why the two metals behave this way is the market's expectations of the Fed's actions. Most analysts are betting the Fed will tighten very soon. Indeed, the U.S. Central Bank announced tapering at the end of November. And I mean, it's just crazy to look back on this article now that we know what's happened. And if they only knew. But anyways, I kind of want to skim through this part because the good stuff is down here. So they talk about the necessary conditions for silver, and then they go into a little bit of the demand part. Then they talk about right here the important stuff. However, the U.S. economy has not fully recovered from the recession. So, as many observers say, we are in a rare situation of stagflation when unemployment and inflation coexist. We have to deal with the product shortages and an energy crisis to boot. And then they go into silver manipulations. And this is where they talk about that $160 level and why it didn't actually hit that, but it should have. The current situation is extremely similar to that of the 1970s, and the U.S. Federal Reserve also began to fight inflation by raising interest rates. But unfortunately, inflation got totally out of control, and there was more. That was for more than a decade. This turned out to be the true gift for gold and silver investors. But the problem is silver prices were artificially manipulated. Initially, the Hunt brothers decided to hedge their fortune against inflation. They started betting against paper money, 1974. That was logical indeed at the time. And then the growth rate in the prices of gold, for example, averaged almost 39% year to year. So you could see this is the gold chart. And by the way, what the Hunt brothers did was they cornered the silver market. They didn't go into gold because it was actually illegal to own gold at the time. But in 1980, the Hunt brothers pushed the price of silver up to $50. Still to this day, that was the highest price silver's ever been. In 2011, the price was like $49, so it was pennies away from the 1980 high. But the Hunt brothers did something very interesting. They cornered the market. They owned up to 77% of the global silver supply, and they tried to turn all of those contracts into physical delivery. So they were going to own 77% of the world's silver in physical form. Like, that is insane. Now, obviously, the government didn't let that happen. They actually made a law on the spot called Silver Rule 7, banning silver on the COMEX. You couldn't buy it. You couldn't even sell it to your friends. You had to sell it to the government. It was crazy. But yeah, that's that story. It's much more complex. I did like a 3-part docu series on this. If you want to go try to find it in my videos, I made it probably 6-7 months ago. It was a very interesting thing to dive into, though, and it's a crazy story, like a crazy story. But anyways, let's keep on going on. The Hunt brothers decided to bet on it. So the two silver bucks started buying physical silver and silver futures. I do not want to go into too many details, right? And yeah, but they invested in the gray metal. He just wants to focus on some points here, and he made this is exactly kind of what I wanted him to do. So they borrowed heavily to purchase both silver securities and the physical metal. So even at the time when the USD used to be worth much, much more than it is now, they paid billions of dollars. So the soaring demand made the silver prices climb to $50 per ounce, right? Low supply, high demand. Anytime silver, if you look at a chart, when silver's demand is up, silver goes up with it. It's almost identical. So when we know that demand is booming, silver's price always goes up with it. We know this the demand for silver over the next decade, with so many things silver's used for in this green revolution, I can almost guarantee higher silver prices, especially since we know there's a shortage. So anyways, note that it was back in 1980. In today's money, $50 per ounce would have been worth more than $166 per ounce. That is because in today's money, the 1981 dollar would have been worth $3.36. The fun fact is that in 1974 to 1975, silver was selling for just $5 to $6 per ounce. So in order to take advantage of silver prices, some people were selling their silver coins and cutlery to benefit from the high prices for the gray shiny metal. Obviously, this did not help to cool the prices for the gray metal, since less than a third of the silver market was not controlled by the Hunts, and that was on the futures. But it all ended when the US government and the Fed decided to step in. Hunts were prohibited to borrow, right? The government literally stepped in and banned silver. The silver market participants, meanwhile, were not allowed to make bullish bets on silver. That is why March 27, 1980, it was Silver Thursday, and that's exactly what happened. The government came in, made Silver Rule 7. You couldn't buy silver on the COMEX. You couldn't do anything with it. And then people panicked. They freaked out, sold all of it to the banks, and then that led to Silver Thursday, where the price shot like 50% in less than a day on a Thursday. So yeah, the prices from the gray metal collapsed in just one day, from its high of $48 to just down to $11. So silver predictions. And he still doesn't really go into the $160 thing that we're talking about. He did just mention that, but it's actually down here where he really goes into it. So I'm not gonna read line for line because this is already pretty lengthy. I just want to highlight the main parts. So let's try to find it. Obviously, all that what I have explained above does not mean investing in silver is a bad idea. Actually, I'm saying just the opposite. And isn't that weird that sometimes you can perceive information differently? I was reading that as like it's a good idea, but some people could read that and they perceive the information and would think it's a bad idea. And I'm glad he brought that up. So silver prices have a much higher growth potential than gold, since the gray metal is much more volatile. That is simply due to the fact that investing in the market for silver is a much smaller market than that of gold. Gold is estimated to be 11.845 trillion. in the time of writing. However, silver is around 1.412 trillion. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I said silver is like gold on steroids, because it's more volatile, and that's because the market is smaller, much smaller. So, anyways, small markets generally mean plenty of growth potential. And when a large player steps in, many other market participants rush to get in their share of the profits. What is more, many speculators borrow to invest like they used to do under the Hunt brothers, right? And that creates further growth potential for the gray metal. So then they go into solar panels, electric vehicles, a lot of stuff that silver is used for. And then obviously that's going to go into the industrial sector of low supply, high demand. Why? We're going to need so much silver, but there's less and less and less of it. Low supply, high demand shoots the price up. But then if you're also going to cook in all of this other stuff with quantitative easing and the dollar's purchasing power, depreciating and basically disappearing, it's just the perfect storm for silver, right? We have so many different situations that are all bullish for silver. So, let's go down here because this is the conclusion. So it is a hard task to predict the future, right? Nobody has a crystal ball. There could be a wrench thrown in next month that could throw things way off. And that's why you can't really pay attention to forecasts or price predictions. Take them as it is, but you still have to remember the bigger picture. The economic situation all over the world is changing very fast. But my base case scenario is that, and it's base case, not best case. My base case scenario is that silver prices will surge to new all-time highs. In fact, a price of $166 per ounce, a maximum reached in 1980, adjusted for today's inflation, is quite possible. Let me reread what he just said. In fact, a price of $166 per ounce, a maximum reached in 1980, adjusted for today's inflation, is quite possible. Indeed, not much is needed to move this small market. The fundamental indicators also suggest silver's prices have plenty of potential to surge. So I like that he talked about how small the silver market is and how not much is needed to move these prices extremely high. $50 for an all-time high of silver is not that impressive. $2,000, gold broke past its all-time high last year or 2 years ago, whatever. It broke past $2,000. That was the highest price gold has ever been throughout history. For the 5,000 years, we witnessed history when gold broke past $2,000. When gold did that, silver wasn't even half of its all-time high. So, silver's volcano still hasn't erupted. Because remember, silver always follows gold. But remember, silver's gold on steroids. So, when it starts to follow that, which it always does, sometimes it lags a little bit, which silver is actually the last commodity to bring that rally. All the other commodities have. Silver, it's lagging behind a little further because there's so many other elements, pun intended, at play. But I do think that silver's volcano will erupt along with everyone else's. It's just building up more magma inside. And when that perfect storm hits, I could see silver hitting triple digits. Now, when? Here is my time prediction. So, I think silver is going to hit $100+ in the year 2025. 2025. And I think that is mainly due to the fact that by then, the amount of silver we're going to need is going to be impossible to meet on such a large scale that there's no other option than to detach silver from gold, even from the dollar. The silver shortage is something that is very extreme. I don't think enough people understand how extreme it is. Since silver's used for all these electric vehicles and solar panels and 5G towers, silver lithium ion batteries, and every day there's scientists find a new use for silver. By then, the demand, since the Green New Deal will be in full effect by then. It hasn't even started yet. We're talking about the entire world going green. PV cells, photovoltaics, that's in solar panels, electric vehicles. By 2030, every car company is going to be electric. So more and more over these next couple of years, all these cars are going to be needing lots of silver inside of them. Every car company. So we're talking about a demand of silver which just exceeded 1.2 billion ounces this year. By the year 2025, 2026, that's going to be probably 4 or 5 billion ounces. And then every one of us is as well, individual investors, not car companies and all that, 5G towers, people like you and me. The US Mint sold 5 million Eagles the first month of January. So, and that's not used for cars and stuff, right? That's me and you. So we're talking about record-breaking highs from everyone and every company that is trying to get a slice of the silver pie, but there's already a massive shortage. So by then, 2025, 2026, I don't see how silver couldn't be how it could be less than triple digits, right? Plus, if you want to incorporate the dollar side of things as well, add that into the mix, oh my gosh. That's when I think silver could hit triple digits. It could be a lot sooner, it could be a lot later. But from everything I see happening, that is when people are going to realize how severe the silver shortage is. Yes, it's already started, but it's not at a it's just it's not hurting people enough yet, but I think by then it will be inevitable. You can't deny it, right? So yeah, that's mine. I would love to hear yours though. Do you think silver could hit triple digits in the next 5 years, and why? I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you thought this video was 1, educational, 2, informational, 3, at least entertaining, make sure to hit the like button. I post daily videos. Also, make sure to go enter my silver giveaway. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon.